Okay, well, I think what we'll do is we'll get started now that everyone is here and available. So if there's any more attendees or panelists attendees that come in, I'll say hi, but we'll get cracking because we've got a bit to get through, and hopefully this will be of benefit. So just a bit of housekeeping. If you can ask a question at any time in the chat, that would be great. I can see those questions pop up. So if it's relevant to the slide that I'm on, I will answer it there and then. Alternatively, there's a section at the end where we will deal with questions that you might have. Please ask as many as you can. I'm here to try and give you as much information that's relevant for your specific businesses and to help you get your head around the different tools that are available and the different approach to implement those tools. So this is a bespoke program. Welcome. You may have seen this ask for help. So this is about it's a result of the coronavirus pandemic. It's the change of focus for Boost is more around, instead of growth support, it's about business resilience support. And the team out there, the bespoke and Boost team is there to help in any possible way they can, because businesses are extremely important. In Lancashire businesses, and the growth and successful businesses on the Boost program particularly are really, really important. Michael, hi. If you could just open your chat, Michael. If you go to the end of that black panel and click on more and click on chat, then you can ask a question there. And if you change it to all panelists and attendees, please, on the chat, then everyone can see the questions. Great, thanks Michael. Okay, so carrying on. You've not missed much, Michael, don't worry. Yeah, so this is the Boost program, and it's a new focus, so ask for help. So you're not alone. Businesses are out there. I'm a business owner myself. I use Boost. They're a fantastic support network. We're very lucky to have them in Lancashire. So if you do need any support, I would greatly recommend you make the most of that. So, okay. What are we going to discuss, or what am I going to present to you, and hopefully you can take away from this webinar. So I want to start to put you in the picture, or help you start to think about getting into the right mindset for remote working. It's been thrust upon us. Many of you will have done it before out of choice and out of a reason to drive and grow the business and make yourself more efficient. However, everyone has to do it now, and therefore with change can come a lot of stress. So we'll talk about that. I'll go through some technology basics that you might want to consider. You probably have considered a lot of them already, but for your teams out there, there are some things that you might want to just check off to make sure that all those bases are covered. I'll then talk about the different protocols for meetings, collaboration, chat, and email. So historically, it's just been email, isn't it? Or face-to-face meetings, or the telephone, phone calls. But the technology and the systems that are out there have enabled us to be far more effective and productive in a remote environment. So I want to talk to you about the approach that we adopt and some best practice, but also to some things to avoid and some pitfalls to avoid. The software tools that you can use, I'm going to go through some of those. There are thousands of them, absolutely thousands. So don't think that I'm going to go through them all, but I'm going to go through some of the market leaders. I'm going to go through some of them that I use in my business. And hopefully, if you've got questions specifically about some of the software tools, by all means, ask those questions, and hopefully I can help you. And then we'll have those questions in discussion. So away we go. A little bit about me first, just to give you a background. I am a business owner myself. We have a software and website company. It's called Blue Wren. We've been going for 10 years, 14 staff. We was lucky enough to win the Red Rose Awards this year as the Digital Business of the Year. But our focus has always been around productivity and process improvement. We've always looked at how we can make and do things better and more effectively for ourselves, but also for our customers. We specialize in building systems that help customers improve their productivity through workflow, CRM, project management, and things like that. But ultimately, we do it for ourselves, and we use tools that are out there to help us with that. And although we're talking about operating in a remote environment, and the systems that we have adopted to do that you could adopt to do that, they are very relevant for situations going forward and for a growing business, because they allow you to connect and collaborate with more teams, and they allow you to make your process more streamlined, more efficient. And when you've got an efficient process, you can grow your business. Things around process have got to be: is it repeatable? Is it valuable? Is it teachable? If those three things are right, are dealt with, then you can grow your business and you can increase the value of your business. So that's really, really important. And these tools that we'll talk about and the approaches that we adopt in terms of collaboration and meetings and chat will help support that. So putting technology and systems to one side, it's really important to adopt and to return to the right mindset for remote working. I know it's been thrust upon us. We're a couple of weeks in already, but these are things that are certainly relevant now, very relevant now, but also be relevant in the future as well as we come out of this situation. So return to your culture and values. They're really, really important. Your people that have worked for you, they have been thrust into a situation that is beyond their control. They've been asked to work in a remote environment. They've been asked to adopt a significant amount of change to their working day. And we as humans, we like security, we like safety. These are the things that we value a lot. And change disrupts that security, and therefore change brings stress. And stress brings behaviours that you don't want within your business. And mental health challenges as well, of course. So be very clear on return to the culture phase. Why did you start the business in the first place? Why do you get up in the morning and go to work and do the things that you do? And why are you continuing to do that in a really stressful environment? Culture and values will really carry you through, and we use that a lot in our business. And we use our culture and values to remind our people why they were recruited and the work, why we do what we do, and we reiterate those in the way that we communicate with our people. And that's really more important than anything. So, for example, I record a very, very short weekly chat video that says, thanks for all the work you're doing. We're still on the right track. We're doing well as a business. We're doing this. We're doing that. And these are the things that we want you to focus on in the coming weeks or the coming week. And thanks for all the hard work. And that goes on to our internal online chat to Teams. And that's just a very small thing, but it really does help, because it reminds people that they're still part of something, and that's incredibly important. And life will get in the way. So be aware that not everyone's home office is perfect. There are other challenges and issues around it at the moment, particularly childcare, for example, broadband speeds, just different routines that might have to get into the way. You might have a key worker within the family. So these are things that are important to just consider, and not everyone is going to be the same. Social rituals are also extremely important. We don't necessarily know about them. We don't organize them in any really structured way, but we go to an office and we have lunch together. We ask people how their day has been, or how their weekend was, or wish them a happy birthday. These are rituals that, if you are in isolation, you can withdraw from if you're not careful. And it's really important, particularly if you go back to your culture and values, you maintain some of those rituals. You have an end of week chat. We had a quiz yesterday, for example, where everyone dialed in just for half an hour, or you ask people how their weekend is, or you ask people how they are. Those sort of social rituals are incredibly important to maintain, because when people get back into that, in office environment or into a more normal working environment, then they still feel that they're part of something. They still feel valued in the organisation. Inclusion is particularly important in this scenario, particularly in meetings, online meetings, for example. It's very easy for people to withdraw, people to participate but not really participate. It's less so in a face-to-face environment, because you can see that. You can see if someone's not participating, if someone's being blocked out or ignored. So that's why it's really important to adopt some particular approach to coordinating meetings and to hosting meetings to make sure that everyone is included. And then finally, and if you like me, and like lots of businesses we've spoken to already, they've said, oh, well, we did a bit of remote working, but now that we've adopted it, I think we could do more of this. This is quite. We're going to make some changes when we come out of this out of this crisis. And there's some fundamental things and restructuring we're going to do in our business. Okay, that's great, and I think that has accelerated some of the decisions that businesses make. And this technology that we've all been using has always been there. Well, not always been there, but been there for quite a while. But the office environment will still have a role. It's not something to be ignored. I've included a link on these slides to an interesting article in the New York Times about, home working is overrated. And the argument goes is that, we have these collisions effectively that are informal in an office environment, where creativity sparks off and things happen that we don't necessarily have to organise. They just happen and occur, and it helps a business grow and become innovative. And that will be something that is worth considering as the business as we come out of this, is to say, well, no, we're not going to go back to how we were, BC, before Corona, but we won't necessarily throw the baby out with the bathwater. So bear that in mind. So that is some of the things that are worth just taking back into the business and thinking, are we doing these things right? Have we got this dealt with? Are we, particularly are our people feeling comfortable? Are we adopting some of these social rituals? And then start to look at some of the technologies that you might be able to adopt and use in a way that would help you become more effective and more productive. So, before we go into the specific tools, there's some technology basics. Some of these you'll already have covered, obviously, because you're on this webinar. But I will go through a sort of a checklist that is worth considering, particularly when you've got a team of people. And then I'll talk about some of the other basics that are worth dealing with. So, I'm not going to read it word for word, but they'll be on the slides. You'll get the slides, but these are things that are worth just double checking that you've got, just to make sure that we're well equipped. Thanks. The equipment is the obvious one, but does everyone have a computer, a laptop with a camera and a microphone? Is their broadband speed sufficient? I was on a meeting the other day, and someone said, "Hang on a minute, Michael," and he had to tell his kids to get off all the Wi-Fi because the broadband speed wasn't of sufficient capacity to make him have our meeting and have his kids on whatever devices they were. So, bear that in mind. Can your people operate effectively with their technology? Do they know who to contact for IT support, and when those IT support people are available? Do you have enough IT support? Is there a ticketing system? Is there a agreed service level? IT, you are no longer have got one single point of failure. You have got multiple points of failure because everyone is working remotely, and therefore the demands of IT support will go up significantly. So make sure that you've got that in place. Are people's phones, laptops, PCs synchronized? If they've got a PC on their desk at work, does that synchronize with their laptop at home, for example? Is their laptop synchronized with their phone? And therefore this will start to create challenges when we come to start to managing documents, managing files. Do you have a reliable virtual private network solution? So are you working and do you dial into a centralized server and operate out of a server from your office, or are you operating off the cloud? Are you using the cloud, or are you working off your local laptop? These are things that you need to think about. And if you are operating locally, is that secure? Is that the best way of managing your information in your systems? Do they know how to use any two-factor authentication that you have in place? Do you have a centralized password management system? We have adopted something called LastPass, and that's been extremely valuable for us. And then as a result of that, it's really helped managing passwords, because we have many systems in our business. And if you don't have a centralized password management system, then many of the passwords might be saved on local PCs. And that creates challenges if you're moving them around, or if they're stuck in an office and some people are working remotely from home. Do people know how to use the meeting collaboration chat tools you'll have, or that you're going to get? And do they need training? Do your people know where to securely store documents and how to share them with others? You know, what is your document management system like? What systems do you use? We use OneDrive, we use SharePoint, but others will use Google Drive, for example, or a local server, Microsoft Exchange. So these are the things that are worth understanding, and it might have opened up some issues for you that as you started to remote work, as to where are all these files going, or where are all these documents. Do they understand information security and data privacy rules? Now, these people will make shortcuts or take shortcuts. Are your people giving their laptops and PCs to children in their home to do their homework on, to plug in memory sticks from school, or to dial into systems online? There's some big security risks if they've got sensitive data on there. We know about the challenges with Zoom already. They're very well publicized. Now, there will be some, they will take shortcuts potentially in a home environment. Most home networks will not be secure. So again, what information is going and passing through that? And finally, do you have plans for when technology fails? Because you can lose hundreds of hours if technology goes down, and broadband, particularly broadband, local broadband, is not, home broadband is not the same at the same security in terms of reliability as potentially business broadband, and there's a lot more demand on it. So can people work offline? Are there 4G dongles that the business could source for the individuals? Because otherwise you'll be paying your people to sit around and do very little. When you want them to be as productive as they can. So let's go back to the basics. Some other things to think about are availability. So again, life gets in the way, but availability, in our business, we set core hours of 10 till 4. Everyone has to be available between 10 till 4. They can obviously start a bit earlier and finish a bit earlier around those hours, or start later and finish later. But the requirement is 10 till 4, and that has allowed people to make, to get on with their life and to stop life getting in the way, because you want your people to be as productive as they possibly can. So set some parameters and set some rules and make them available. And responsiveness, what do you expect in terms of responsiveness, and in different scenarios and in different contexts? So for chat, do you expect an instant response? For email, do you expect a response within 24 hours or within 12 hours? Levels of responsiveness, because if you expect everyone to be on all the time, that will be an interruption, that'll be a distraction, and people will not be as productive as they can be. And that leads me on to productivity. You want them to get through as much work as they can. Visibility does not equal productivity. So make people accountable for what they're going to do that day. Make them say and share with you in your collaboration tools or your chat to say, today I will do this, this, and this. Yesterday I did this, this, and this. Today I will do this, this, and this. And what got in the way from me not achieving what I did yesterday? And make people accountable for those commitments and for those actions. Because if you're not careful, you will lose a lot of productivity, because people will start, through no fault of their own, becoming less productive, because they're not being committed to time management, or they're not being accountable for the things that they've got to get done. So that's really, really important. And then client confidentiality and data security. I've talked about that. It's really, really important. do they lock their PCs? They lock their PCs at work as a requirement. Are they doing that at home, for example? So there's some of the technology basics, things that you may well have already considered in your business, obviously, but there may be one or two things there that you thought, well, actually, no, I'll take that back, and or I'll double check that that's the case, or oh, I've not thought of that, and we'll try and implement that in the future. So hopefully that's been of value. So now I'm going to start to talk about the different protocols around meetings, collaboration, chat, and email. So meetings, we're in one now. And meetings, there's some real advantages to having a remote meeting, a video conference over a face-to-face meeting. Obviously, the ones of traveling, but there's some other advantages that are worth considering as well and worth being aware of. So meetings, they're internal and they're external. They're suitable for both. It's important to schedule in advance, like any meeting. Doodle, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a really good scheduling piece of application. It's free to use. It's instead of sending all these emails out, particularly remotely, to all these different people, say, when are you available? This date. It's a bit of a poll. You can say, right, you can set some dates and people can tick when they would be available. And then the ones which have all the ticks, that's the date that you set the meeting. So it's a good way of being more efficient and set in scheduling meetings. It's really important to have a host, and the host's role within a meeting online is far more important than it would necessarily be in a face-to-face meeting, because the host has the job to make sure that everyone is connected, everyone can participate, everyone is included, and everyone's opinion and contribution is received. So the host has a big responsibility in a meeting like this, and have an agenda. Obviously, every meeting should have an agenda, but importantly, the social nuance of a video conference are slightly different in that people will stop talking, will be juddery and stop talking. So you need a way of moving things along because it won't be as natural as a face-to-face meeting, and you might not achieve the things that you want to achieve. So be very clear on your agenda. A good thing, now this is something that you can do on a video meeting, video conference meeting, as opposed to a face-to-face, is that create a shared document, either on Google Docs, OneDrive, or whichever, or Dropbox, for example, and publish that and share that document with all the participants on that meeting, or even in the chat, for example, a chat on Zoom, and have people make notes in real time as the meeting is happening, and everyone can make notes, and everyone can see the notes that are being made. So instead of someone taking formal minutes of a meeting that you would have at a face-to-face environment, you've done it in real time on a shared document, and everyone can participate and contribute, and there's no loss of translation in translation. Some of the things that come out of the meeting, you can record it as well, obviously. Use the webcam. That's really important. It allows you to pick up those social cues when someone wants to speak, when someone's engaged, when someone's not, when someone's upset, when someone's not. The webcam allows you to pick those up, and it's very important for the host because the host can then visually see who wants to speak next, for example. Obviously, familiarize yourself with the tool or platform, and be comfortable with multiple tools. We're using Zoom in this environment, but I've had a meeting on Google Hangouts, on Microsoft Teams, on TeamViewer in the last 7 days. So all of those tools will be something that you might have to come across, because you won't be the ones that will. Hi, Sue. You just popped up. That's okay. You won't be the ones that will schedule every meeting. So be aware of the tools, and then invite participants to reply to or to raise a question by raising their hand. I mean, it's a simple thing. So these are sort of the familiarization of the protocols of meetings. You'll have done them before, but there's some things that you may have picked up there. I'll talk about the tools in a minute. Collaboration. Now, this is something that's relatively new in the world of business, in terms of the sophistication of the tools that are out there for collaboration. Historically, we used email, didn't we? We sent documents backwards and forwards, and many of us still do to collaborate on things. But now, with the growth, the huge growth in the different systems and tools that are available, and the move from local local software to cloud-based software has allowed us to really make some powerful technology changes in our business that will help with the collaboration. And collaboration is really, really, really valuable for the business. It will help you drive productivity, it will help you drive creativity, and it will help improve productivity. But also it will give you it will allow you to deliver a better quality outcome for your customer or your supplier, but particularly, or for your people, because everyone is participating and involved in it from the outset. So you're getting people engaged and on board from the beginning. So collaboration is very, very important. In our business, we collaborate in building software systems. So our developers are collaborating all the time, even in a remote environment, they're collaborating. In our sales function, we collaborate by producing an online proposal. We're using something called Better Proposals. We can collaborate on that, and likewise the customer can collaborate and sign up for the project and pay online, and it's done so seamlessly, so efficiently. So it's really, really powerful. So a couple of things. Collaboration can be both internal and it can be external. So bear that in mind. You might want to collaborate with your partners, but also with your customers, and also with your people. Be patient. It's going to be new for a lot of people. So it's not going to work every time. People will be a little bit confused. They might use some of the collaboration tools and then revert back to email when they don't realize. Just be patient and try and reiterate how you want people to use the tools that are there and what the protocols are for collaborating. Some tips around it: share early. So don't keep it all, the whole point of collaboration is to be transparent and open and to share. So share your documents early, share your thoughts early, share your workings, and allow people to contribute in that way. The tools allow it to do you to do that, and allow you to move things forward, and then you get a better outcome because of that sharing early. Don't use collaboration tools simply as a replacement for email. Make sure that you are actually actively collaborating and open and being open about it. Agree a protocol and the tools to use. So the tools we'll talk about, but a protocol I'm talking about in our situation, we'll have a team, and a team will be, only those people who are members of that team will contribute and collaborate on that project, and it will be closed to that team. So no one else in the business or no one else outside the business will be invited into that team, and only they can contribute. And then there will be a responsible party, or an author or an editor or a sort of a project leader, and they're ultimately are the ones responsible for that work. So that's a good way of adopting a protocol, and ultimately that main lead collaborator will be the one that has the responsibility of delivering the outcome or delivering the service or whatever it is that you're collaborating on. Avoid using email, which I've just discussed, and sometimes it's easier to pick up the phone, believe it or not. Going backwards and forwards on a sort of on an online chat or a collaboration on a document, it's sometimes easier. Pick up the phone and have a conversation. Get the complex stuff out the way, and then move on. So that's collaboration and chat. So chat is an interesting one. We use it. It's not for everyone. And some businesses have adopted it really, really well, and some haven't. We're all familiar with instant messaging. We all use text messages, SMS messages. We all use WhatsApp. We all use, Facebook Messenger. So it's the same principle in a business context. It's for internal use. We use it for internal use, and I think I would recommend it's informal. It's a conversation. It can be a time sink. Bear that in mind. It is a distraction. If you're working on something and you're getting a alert popping up every 5 minutes, which is a chat, which is not related to what you're working on, you can be distracted. And therefore, sometimes it's important to turn off your chat, or to set rules around when to respond and when not to, and to put on use do not disturb, for example. Split it into teams and into rooms. That's really, so in the WhatsApp environment you have groups. In Slack you will have teams. We have and in Microsoft you have Teams or channels. I think you have in Slack, and Teams you have in Microsoft Teams. Rooms, we use that in another system that we've got, which is voice related as well. Have one group chat or one channel where everyone can share. So that is that idea of that social ritual to ask, to talk about things that are not necessarily business related, are personal related, and it brings together your team in one way or another. But don't have your general chat to talk about specific projects or specific customers, for example. Siphon those off into different teams or different channels. And remember, it's a written record. I know it's informal and it's gone, it's written there, it's down on paper. So, be careful. These things are there, they're in writing. So what you do say is a record. So bear that in mind as well. And so also, just to touch now on email. So email is still important. And we use it in our business, and I would recommend it's used as mainly an external tool. So to communicate outwards or to receive communication from your external contacts, whether they be contractors, freelancers, suppliers, customers, and the like. So external, it's a transfer of information, or it's to confirm what was discussed. Yeah, it's not a chat. It's a transfer. It's moving things along. It's say, right, okay, further to our discussion and putting those points in, or here is our proposal, here is our document, that sort of thing. If you're requesting a response, be clear with the details. I want a response by who, by when, and what that response might be, whether that be signing of the proposal, a confirmation of a meeting, whatever that response you're looking for, make it clear. Avoid back and forth conversations. We've all done them. We still do them. But they fill up your inbox. They're a huge distraction, and they just don't get anywhere. You don't achieve anything. There's just lots of people just pushing stuff out. So there's not that two-way communication. Avoid blanket emails and CCs. We make a rule on that, no blanket emails. And if it's a CC, it has to be a real reason for a CC, because I don't know about you, but if you get CC'd into something and there's a two-way conversation going on, it's just pain in the neck. I quite often say, please un-CC me. And the written word can be, we all know, it can be misconstrued very, very easily. So keep language factual and without emotion. We all have written an email with emotion and then sent it and they go, oh, what have I just done? So don't. If you are likely to do that, don't send it for half an hour, go back to it. But if you can, keep emotion out and just make it a transfer of information. That's what email is for. Your chats and your telephone conversation, bring emotion into that. Email, no, because you don't get that two-way response, and therefore it can be misconstrued and blown out of all proportion. And then finally, professionalism. Particularly in a remote environment, has everyone's email got that company signature at the end? There are some legal requirements too in terms of data protection and things like that need to be stamped onto it, but that needs to make sure that is consistent when you're working remotely. So that's just sort of, I've now sort of talked about meetings, collaboration, chat, and email. Historically, we would have just done email for all of those. So this is now started to make the distinction in your business. Now to come on to choosing some of the tools that you might use. So some key considerations before jumping in and adopting the tools that are out there. The first one, and this is the most important, do you understand your processes and do you have a clear idea of growth ambitions? Because you can very quickly adopting a software solution to communication or collaboration is all very well, but it's not necessarily going to transform your business if your processes are not organized. If people don't understand the role of customer acquisition, what are the steps involved? What are the steps involved in service and project delivery? Have you got clarity on how you deliver a project as efficiently and effectively as it possibly can be? And with that in mind, then you can adopt the right systems and solutions, and then you can use the right tools. And what are your growth ambitions? If they are to grow your business significantly, are you signing up to a solution that is going to support that growth? And be aware of what that might look like. So, you know, that is really important, particularly around cost. So most cloud-based solutions will charge per seat. Now, if you've got growth, it might be very, very cost effective from a point of view of today, where there's a couple of you. But if you're going to grow to 10 to 20 to 30, what does that look like in terms of cost? And is there an alternative that you could choose now that would allow you to grow into the solution? The next one is adoption. How complicated, how easy is it to use, and what's the likelihood of your people adopting it? If they have a clear idea of the process and they're involved in helping map that process within your business, they will have a good insight into the systems or the solutions that are relevant for them, particularly around collaboration and around chat. So these are the things you need to think about before you embark on that. And don't just adopt something because it looks good and then try and impose it on the business, because what will happen is that the business will look at it, they'll use it for 10 minutes, they'll get frustrated, and they'll revert back to exactly what they used to do before. And you'll have lost a bit of the engagement. People will become mistrusting of technology, and it will cost you some money and time. Do the systems that you have already integrate with anything new that you want to adopt? And that's really important. Integration is a key limiter, or lack of integration is a key limiter to productivity. If you can integrate your systems and have information seamlessly flow through them all, then that will improve the efficiency of your business immeasurably. So no double data entry, no human intervention, and it goes all the way through from customer inquiry through to invoicing and finance. That would be wonderful. And that's the utopia. Total loss cost of ownership, that is something you should consider. Now, it's not just that price per person per month. Remember, additional seats that I talked about, but also support. Are you having to pay extra for support? Are you having to pay for time within your business for people to administer it and service the system, to train people because it's complicated, integrate with systems and make sure those integrations are always working. So the total cost of ownership, there's a lot underneath the just headline, £5 per person per month. So think about that. The accessibility of your data. So, because we build systems for businesses, and a business will come to us and say, look, okay, I want a new system, and we'll go and look at their old system, and their old system has all their data and we can't get it. Or they have to pay a fortune for that data to be extracted to the supplier who supplies that system, or the extract that you get, the data is in a dreadful format. So we understand how that data will be exported, or how accessible that data is if you choose to no longer use the system. Because quite often, for Slack, for example, you turn off Slack, everything's gone. Yeah, there's no export. Trello, you could export Trello, but it's a mess. So bear that in mind around data accessibility. And quite often, we won't work with a customer because they can't get the data out, so they're stuck with a system that is not fit for purpose. And support level. What is the level of support, particularly on cloud-based solutions? If you do need support, if you feel that you need support, what is their do they have a service level agreement, and what support are you likely to do? There'll be lots of reviews online around support, because that is often a real pain for people where they adopted a system, they need support and they can't get it. Microsoft were terrible at it, but they're getting much better. So when you are coming to choose a system, these are the things to sort of tick off. Are you clear on your processes and your growth ambitions? Will it work for that? Will people adopt it, and will it integrate? What is the total cost of ownership? Can you get your data if you need it? And what's the support level like? If you can tick off all of those, or use that as a matrix in terms of your selection, then you will start to get the right system. Okay, so here are some of the tools. I've done a bit of a précis about some of the market leaders and a bit of an overview. I'm familiar with most of them. We've used most of them. I can obviously answer questions on specific ones. I've tried to start with meetings, online video conferencing, and move through to chat, collaboration chat, but obviously there is a lot of crossover that you'll be familiar with. But these are sort of the market leaders around video conferencing. You've got Skype, obviously, and then you've got things like WebEx, Whereby, and Zoom. Now, bear in mind, a lot of people will go for the free option because, yeah, you're not sure what to use. It's a low risk solution because it's free. However, it's never free. You are always giving something up. And in the case of Zoom, for example, it's your data, and that's very, very valuable to them. And likewise with Skype. So be aware of that. And there are some security challenges around some of them. Zoom has had them, and they're well known. There are others whereby that is a good one in terms of security, and that is something that a customer of ours has adopted, and they do web conferencing with prisoners on remand, and they're a medical. They write reports, so they require a very secure video conferencing solution. So those are the ones. There are hundreds of others, but that you don't need to investigate every single one. If you know what your processes are and your requirements are, then most of these will support those. It's just choosing what's right for you and what you're happy with, and your budget, of course. Moving into more collaborative solutions, Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is one that we have adopted in our business, mainly for the integration with Office 365. So we use all the applications on Office 365. We use OneDrive, which is obviously document sharing, but we also use all the applications. I mean, this is in PowerPoint, so this is in Microsoft Teams. But Microsoft Teams then allows you chat solution. It's got a great mobile app, and it's getting better. Video conferencing is a bit hit and miss, if I'm honest. You can only have 4 people live at once, and that's been coming for some time, and it's still not there. And their planner tool, which is integrated with Teams, is okay, but we still continue to use Trello because we're more familiar and happy with Trello, even though we're paying for Planner. But if you are already embedded with sort of Microsoft products, with Word, Excel, and you do a lot of that, then that Microsoft Teams is a good one because it integrates with all of those really, really well, and it's always getting better. In terms of cost, there is no free tier, and costs will go up as your people do, but you do get a lot for your money. Facebook Workplace, that's sort of newish to the market. I'm not familiar with it. We've not used it before, but it's getting some decent traction. It's using obviously the Facebook interface, so that's what people are very familiar with that. And I've heard some good reports about the workplace application. So it's worth considering if you haven't got any solution at the moment. So that's something to think about in terms of good for collaboration, and obviously it's very good on mobile. Discord is something that I thought I'd throw in here, and that is very similar to Teams and to Slack in that you have channels, but it also allows voice, and that's been very good. It was built originally, or it's been created originally for video gamers to do to play video games and communicate as they play them online. But you can have little rooms, and you can chat and you can type. So it's audio and it's text, and that's been very good for us because effectively we have teams of developers across the county, and those teams of developers are working in teams in a Discord room. And so it's as if they're next to each other in the room. So that's been very valuable, and it's free. So it's a good one to think about, even though it's not necessarily built in it for a business context. It does work for business really well. Google Hangouts. It's again, if you are embedded with Google Docs or the Google Suite, this is an obvious one to adopt for Google Hangouts. It's much better than Teams chat, the Google Hangouts chat, and it's free, and you can have a video call for up to 10 people. So that's a good solution. And then we start to move into more of the chat. Slack is obviously collaboration as well as chat, but that's sort of taken the industry by storm. So that's a good solution. We used to use it. We stopped using it because we were paying for Teams but not using Teams, and Teams sort of became better. But it gives you a free solution. You get a good free tier. And it's really easy to use. In terms of adoption, it was the easiest thing to adopt in the business that we've ever had. You download the app, anyone understands it, they up they go, and it works a treat. And it looks good. People like things that look good. Yammer, that can integrate with Office 365. It's similar to Slack in terms of a chat thing, but it's lost ground to Slack. And then there's a couple of others, AppWire and to Rocket Chat. I'm not familiar with them, but they are similar in terms of chat solutions. So there's a couple of other tools for you. There are many others, and I notice there's a question, I'll come to that later, about other solutions. But bear in mind, think about how these will integrate or how they will relate to your other systems that you might have. You might have a CRM. You might have a workflow management system, a project management system. How do you want? You'll obviously have a finance and accounting system. How do you want your tools to integrate, if at all, with those? And that is important, because as you start to adopt all these different systems, it becomes an overhead. It becomes a training overhead. It becomes a cost overhead. So bear that in mind. So I'm coming up to the end of the presentation. I thank you for listening. Hopefully it's been of value. Here's a couple of additional resources. They're links, but again, they'll be on the slides that you can click through. Just a couple of extra things to read up on remote working. I mean, there's hundreds of these articles out there now. Everyone's an expert on remote working, but it's worth thinking about a couple of things. And that's the top one is don't take remote working for granted. That the office still has a place and a role. It's worth thinking about that as well. So by all means, have a look at those, and hopefully they've been of value. So thank you. I hope it's been of help. John is going to jump in here and coordinate some questions. Please, if you haven't asked a question, because I can only see one, I think, raise any that you have, and I'll be happy to try and answer them for you. John.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Michael. As far as I can see, there's a couple of questions here. The first one was from Charles, where he's asking about the fact that his team understands better with visualization, and he's asking which conference tool supports freehand drawing and shared canvas. Is there something that you're familiar with or you can recommend?
Freehand drawing, Charles. I'm not aware off the top of my head, but let me ask my colleagues at work, because they will know. So if I could find that out for you, and I will send you. Have I got Charles's email? I've got your email, Charles. So I'll send you a direct link, an email for anything that we could find for you. Yeah.
Okay, no, and then I think the only other question was from Michael, where he's asking whether anybody's or whether you've got any experience of using Zoho.
Yes. So yeah, Zoho is it's sort of it's a configurable application. So Zoho is many different things. So it depends on what process you're wanting to manage with Zoho. Yeah, it's a great tool. The only things I would say is that you will need, if you want to get the most from Zoho, you will need someone, a contractor or a Zoho specialist, who will shape Zoho to fit your business. It has lots of functionality, but off the shelf, unless you are quite whizzy with and quite au fait with the structure and the architecture of the system, it'll be difficult to wrangle as a layman to get what you need. It does give you off the shelf solutions, but to get the most from Zoho, it's the solution that you would then, so you would pay a license fee, but then you would pay a contractor to shape it for you. But yeah, it's a very good one, and it's a market leader, so it's certainly a good solution.
Okay, so unless anybody else has any questions, thank you very much indeed, Michael. There's only a couple of slides left for me just to cover off, just to wrap things up. So maybe if we go on to the next slide, if you'd be so kind.
Yep, of course. Sorry.
Thank you. So yeah, we're still putting together, we're still adding to our catalogue of future webinars. All of these are visible on the Eventbrite, and people can find them on the Eventbrite page, probably where the vast majority of you booked for this one. So the next one we have coming up next week is digital marketing. Then we have a couple of other IT related webinars, one about project management, and the other one is managing teams remotely, both of which I think are very much relevant for the current situation. In terms of next steps, I think there's one final slide, Michael, if you'd be kind enough.
Yep.
Thank you. So yeah, by all means, if any of the participants feel that we can be of any assistance, then you've got some contact details there. Just to also let you know that we will send out the slides, copies of the slides from today's webinar. You'll all receive a feedback form, and the way that it works is that if you can complete that feedback form and return it to us, then that automatically sort of triggers sending out the slides to you. Okay, so thank you very much indeed to everybody for attending, and thanks once again, Michael. It was very informative, very relevant, and for me personally, it was very easy to follow. It flowed very well. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, everybody. And Charles, I'll be back in touch with you regarding your request. So thanks a lot.